Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. So, as you are joining this live, let us know where you're coming in from. We've got Instagram and YouTube happening at the same time. So, we're kind of, we're doing a tandem thing here. I am here with India, the Scarlet, and we are going to be talking about integrating your dark feminine today. So my name is Nadine Lee, for those of you who don't know me. Obviously you know me on here, but maybe not on YouTube. And yeah, we just wanted to drop in here and give a transmission around something that's really potent for both of us. It's kind of how we connected, really. Like that was our first kind of, meeting point. And we want to share some juicy wisdom around this with you because it's a topic that a lot of you love. So, do you want to share a bit about, your journey with the dark feminine, like what we kind of started our, conversation around, like our mutual experiences and journey in those realms and where you're at now? Like, what does the dark feminine feel like, move through you like now? And what is it? Where have you gone? Like, where have you gone into those realms?
So for context of where I feel like our deep meeting point was like a year ago in Morocco. And it was in your beautiful dark feminine workshop. And Nadine, knowing that I have journeyed very deeply into stripping and the dark feminine and being in this unbridled expression, invited me to give a demo and give her a lap dance. And there was a deep meeting, like coming together and meeting in the deep feminine erotic at the beginning of sisterhood as a way to just like drop past so much of the surface of the feminine and like really meet a woman at her core. I feel like we really were revealed to each other and in front of other women in this space. And I feel like when you meet another woman who has integrated and embodied her dark feminine, there is just like this depth that is touch. You can feel how dropped in she is to herself. And so yeah, that was this potent meeting place. So I've journeyed, very deeply into the world of stripping, and it was really this like little realm that I would go into. I started 10 years ago, and it was like this whole world where I got to explore the depth of like my eroticism and my power and my magnetism. And then I would come back into my normal life and like it would be like this little mystical world over here. And slowly, as I like journeyed deeper and deeper and began to integrate it, it began to become my work of supporting women to also access this, because I recognized how much women actually deeply desire to really access these deep, erotic, wild states, but also like their fierceness and their boundaries and these other parts of the dark feminine that are maybe a little bit less sexy. It's like, oh yeah, like she's like really sexy and connected to her eroticism, but if she is like too fierce, then she becomes the bitch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's such a thing that's alive for us to talk about, is like this energy of like what it actually takes to be a woman who is integrated in her dark feminine, and like this piece around being okay with being the villain in someone else's story. It's like if you're going to claim everything you desire and create everything that you want and experience the wild world of the dark feminine, you need to be able to hold boundaries and like have this like fierce, unfuckwithable energy. Yeah.
Yep. This is such a big thing. And, I've noticed that we're just talking about this just over the years, integrating more and more of my dark feminine, and that piece around, boundaries is a huge piece of dark feminine embodiment, and desire, like owning what you actually desire and actually want. And in this world, that we live in, when men put boundaries up or state exactly what they want and are very assertive and, claiming what they desire. And in business or in life, in relationships, it's seen as like admirable. But when a woman does it, there's like this, I get backlash every time I put out something like bold in nature or like set a boundary with someone who's trying to take from me. Like I'm told I'm a bitch or I'm this or that projected upon. And it's like if I were a man doing that, it would be like, oh wow, he's I should respect him, and so there's this deep conditioning like in the feminine that we have to be this, this martyr, this mother energy that's just take from me. Like my body is just for everyone to take from, and we're really reprogramming this, and it really requires this dark feminine piece. And I think there's a lot of confusion around dark feminine. We see there's a lot of this like clickbait stuff. It's like,
like the femme fatale,
seduce
him and like get your way and manipulate him, and it's just complete fucking distortion.
Yeah, like that's shadow dark, like it's like the distorted dark femme. But and I think there's a process maybe to go through in that's like your first entry point in. But then when you actually go into the deeper currents of like what the dark feminine actually is, it's really, it's taking back your sovereignty, and like this is my body and I'm not just available for anyone and everyone to just feed off and give access to everyone my energy. And if I say no and set a boundary, that means that I'm a bad person. And so many women are so scared to say no and to like, there's this like obligation piece, like so many times when I share about like my experiences with dating and, like men just pouring into me, women are shocked that like I don't have sex with them straight away, even just after buying me dinner. And I'm like, just having compassion, but I'm like, wow, this is crazy that like so many women in this world think that like because a man just does one small gesture, like takes them on a dinner, that they are obliged then to give them their entire body. And we're so programmed as women to be this like martyr, like, and that dark feminine is really that piece of you that comes in is like, no, this is my body. This is a temple. You don't just barge into a temple. You don't get access VIP, like with no offerings, no effort, and there's a way to do this that's like assertive and in your heart. And this is something that, how have you experienced that? Like setting boundaries, like with, the heart space.
Yeah, there's a real piece around like, being seen as being too much or being like demanding. And again, it is that distortion. Like and this really just isn't about sex. Like, yes, we're talking about sex, and that's one of like a really potent avenue to look at, but it's like your energy and like the worth and value that you place on yourself and your energy and in your transmission in the world and how available you are to give that out. Because I've experienced this exact same thing with women who are coming to me and reaching out to me, and they want to like meet up with me or connect with me, and I can feel that they're wanting something from me and they're not fully like claiming or owning. It's like really actually they're probably wanting mentorship or they're wanting to receive part of my energy. And if I was stuck in my conditioning of like being a pleaser and a good girl and like, oh, but it's just another woman and she wants to go for coffee with me, like, like absolutely like being connected in the heart and being like, hey, I'm actually just not available for this because I value my energy and my transmission so much. And I know what I need to do to keep myself resourced and nourished and fed. And I'm going to be the one who's going to make a stand for that and let the world know what I'm available for from a place of being connected to the heart. Like, not like, oh my God, no, like I'm not having coffee with this random woman. It's like, I love you, I see you, and this is not what I'm available for. And normally those women end up like working with me and they end up paying me and wanting to like receive my transmission because they recognize like, oh, I really want to like learn this piece from this woman. So the piece with this and the dark feminine is like really learning to choose and be so discerning with your energetic. Like we were just laughing about how probably to a lot of the world who like are living in this distorted reality of what they think the dark feminine is, they would think like, oh, we're probably having sex with like so many people, right? Like I just ran a container called whore and went so deeply into the whore. I've been celibate for the past 2 years, and like it's this piece of when a woman has actually journeyed into the depth of her dark feminine and of these like really fucking powerful dark feminine archetypes like the whore and the slut. Actually, she's more likely to be sleeping with far less people and way more likely to be so fucking clear and discerning with who she lets into her field because she is not available for people to just come and take her energy. She requires deep reciprocity. She requires to be so deeply fucking met, and she will not settle. This is like the core piece here is like anytime you drop your energy or leak your energy out because you hold this like core piece that you're actually not worthy. And so you settle in some area or you leak in some area. You're letting the whole world know, you're letting the universe and God know, like, oh, I'm available for like this kind of half watery thing. When you hold that energy of discernment, you're letting the world know, like, this is what I'm available. This is what it takes to meet me and come into the deep fucking sanctity of like my eroticism, my energy, my channel, my transmission. You have to be okay with feeling like other people's projections onto you. If there's a woman or a man who haven't fully claimed or owned this within themselves, they're going to be like, oh, like, she's being like a bitch or,
angry that you have boundaries.
Yeah, angry that you have boundaries or like calling you greedy for like, all these different pieces. It's like getting to that point where you're just like, it bounces off of you. It's like, and then it stops coming into your field eventually because it's just like neutralized within your space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important. And I think, it's the same thing with the men. I just did a post about this actually. And yeah, it's not about like, for men, like the amount of men that come to me in my DMs and they're like, I just want to hang out with you, or I want to learn about you. I want to learn from you. And essentially they're asking for, I can feel like it's not like they're wanting to date me. They're wanting to like learn from me, receive an initiation and activation, or become a client essentially. And, you know, like, first of all, I honor that man for like owning, like approaching me and like owning his desires. So it's like, having the heart still there. It's not like I'm just going to shut him down. It's like, I honor you for sharing what you want, but what you want is not what I want. So this is how it's going to be if we're going to have an interaction, not letting his desire just take over, because what you need to understand is like male desire actually like consumes the woman's like field. It's very strong. This is why a lot of cultures like cover up the women, because male desire and like lust actually can really take over a woman's and penetrate her very deeply. So like if you don't have your energetic shield on as a woman, you're just going to get like taken into men's agendas, and like then you end up in a situation that you end up resenting the whole thing and resenting yourself and whatnot. So it's like, okay, what you want is not what I want. This is what I want. Do we match in desire? And then it's a beautiful like communication between the two of you. Like, is this going to work? Like, do you want to become my client? Um, or like, is there just, yeah, some sort of other exchange that we can offer? Maybe you want to like, bring me some gift that you have. Like maybe you're good at like a certain thing in my business that you can help me with, and then I can support you with whatever you're going through. There's some exchange, but a lot of people don't know what they want. And there's this like confusion, murky energy between men and women, and women, men and men. I mean, actually, I think it's a lot less between men. Like men are a lot more like clear and direct, and it's like get to the point. Whereas like women, we can be a lot more flaky with this, like, oh yeah, I don't know what I want. I'm just gonna be in my feminine, go with the flow. Like, yeah, but go on with the flow. But like you've got to also have your discernment on. you know, and this is a big piece that isn't talked about in a lot of
Mm.
feminine embodiment. It's not like you're just surrendering to whatever. It's like, no, like you are surrendered to, you're being led by source always. Your
Mm.
oracle is always on. And that's kind of like leading the dynamic. And then it's like you just consistently expressing from your oracle, and that's your desire, and that's informing the space. And then, you know, that's like giving him an invitation to fulfill that desire or match you there. It's not just you're just sitting back and passive to life. Like, this is not what feminine embodiment and dark feminine is really the key to anchor that in so you can actually stop being a victim, essentially,
Yeah.
to your life.
Like fully fucking claiming and anchoring into sovereignty. Because when you're in that, like, oh, it's like, I don't want what that is this piece that's like, I don't want to take full responsibility. Because if I take full responsibility, that's so much and I don't want it. It's like, no, fully fucking claim your desire if you want to receive that and recognize what you will have to shift within yourself to be a match to that frequency, you know, whether that is letting go of old behaviors, letting go of like little leaky areas where you were receiving love or validation, you know, cleaning up your energetic field to like be the true match to the desire instead of like, oh, but when I kind of like give this to a guy, like, and settle here, I'm receiving like a watered down version of the love that I want. It's like being so devoted and anchored to your truth and your desire and your sovereignty that you're not afraid to like cut everything else away. Like the dark feminine really does like come in and cut through fucking illusion. In truth, she's like the sword that will just clean slice through your own illusion and the illusion of the people in your field. So you have to, yeah, meet those parts of you that are just like the sword that cuts through. Yeah, and yeah, claim your fucking desire. Like, get really honest with yourself, whether you're a man or a woman. Like, what do you want? What is the like deepest piece that you want? And then own that fully. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really, yeah, like I feel just like that. What do you want? What are your desires? It's actually a complex question, I feel, for a lot of us. Like a lot of people, it's like not just so easy just to tap into what you actually desire. Like this is a full self-inquiry, and it actually takes, you have to go on a descent into your body, because like your body, especially as a woman, like this wisdom of the deep desire, like what do you actually fucking want? It's from your womb, you know. It's like what do you want to create? And you got to get out of your head, because like think you want certain things, but it's not actually like what you really want. You got to go deeper, and that takes you getting out of your head, deep into your yoni, your womb, and just that like primal aspect, which is your dark femme. And that's a journey, you know. It's a journey. we've gone on many times. We're still spiraling down, spiraling up.
And then when you descend deep into down into the fucking body and the womb, like this primordial place of creation, that's when you can begin to tap into magnetizing that desire instead of like if you're up in your head about what you think you desire and you're trying to like grasp and reach and create and manipulate reality, you're creating distortion in the field. You're like distorting the resonance of the thing that you're trying to resonate towards, because you're like this, which is not feminine energetic. If you want to drop down and become the magnetic woman that is the dark feminine, you got to be deep in your body, and you have to, it's a continual journey. You have to keep descending. Like we were talking about how, yeah, both of us have had moments in our journey where we've come up out of that and we've kind of lost touch of like the deeply erotic women that we are, like in moments of life where you go more into your head, and there's just like it's a lifelong descending and spiraling through all of the layers and all of the pieces that are stored within your body.
Yeah, and it's just like, I've shared with you so many examples the past couple of days, but just, moments where, yeah, like I would move from that center of magnetism and that egg energy of like sitting in my vortex and magnetizing, and it literally backfires. And when I don't trust my intuition, I override that, my life like it backfires. And the moments where, yeah, like for example, move towards a man, for example, like a few years ago, and then just got, it just backfired on me. It didn't work out. And then I just went back into the center, into the womb, into the center of magnetism. And I literally magnetized this man from across the world into my random town, So, like, this is something that I feel, yeah, it's hard for a lot of women who haven't experienced, if you haven't experienced like that level of, oh, I just magnetize, like, you're going to constantly stay in what you think is going to work, which is the chase.
Mm.
And so you kind of have to have like this kind of blind faith in a way, like, or like, if you haven't experienced something, it's hard to believe it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I want to share those stories where like literally, like, I've moved towards something and then it hasn't worked out. And then I've just gone back into the knowing, like resting in that, that queen energy. And it's literally moved across the oceans to me. Like men, like opportunities, all these things. And it always fucks me up when I try and go out of my natural state, which is that, embodied magnetism and center point of the womb. We're not meant to like chase after and like move outwards, like, and chase, what we desire. We're meant to really just like be clear on what we desire and then rest in it, take inspired action. But when you feel like you're moving from, like, my body actually hurts, like I feel it in my body when I'm like moving out and it's coming from like a lack place. It's like, oh, I'm chasing it. It's like, I want to, like, I might have to go to this event because I might meet someone, when you can feel like this is crunchy or it feels like hustle energy versus like, oh, I'm taking an inspired action right now and it feels like, fuck yes, like overflow. It feels like, yeah, I'm like, my tigress energy versus like starving, like animal. So there's a difference in the movement because, you don't want to just, it's not about just sitting back doing nothing. It's like inspired action and then like resting back, it's that like knowing when to strike, to come back, just trust in that vortex. It's so powerful. What else do we want to share around the dark femme? What do you want to know about the dark femme? Seeing some things
there was some.
Yeah, any questions you have around like yeah.
How do you integrate what you don't understand? It's true. How does a woman know if she's integrated that archetype?
Well, I mean, dark feminine, yeah, like, so some of the things we were just talking about, like, do you feel like guilt around setting boundaries? Do you feel like shame around your sexuality? Do you feel like you're in your head all the time? Do you feel like clear in your desires? There's some key indicators.
And then on the like flip side of that, of like the other shadow side of which isn't also integrated, is like, are you performing your sexuality? Like, are you in like, let's say there's like the light shadow and the dark shadow of the dark feminine. Like the dark shadow of the dark feminine is like, yeah, like manipulating and trying to control and performing your sexuality, but it's still coming from your head instead of like true integrated dark feminine eroticism and sexuality is coming deeply from the body and from you being so fed from your own sensual erotic expression, like it's moving through your vessel as opposed to you performing or manipulating through it or trying to get something from it. So those would be some core questions to look at, like, yeah, your boundaries, your standards, your desires, and how much is the way that you're moving coming from your head versus like the depth of your body and your like primal nature. Yeah. And like another piece that we were exploring is this piece of, yeah, we talked a little bit about the start, but just to go a bit deeper into this like too muchness, it's like often when a woman has really connected into her dark feminine, it's this little piece that will either be projected onto her or she'll still hold fear around as being too much. Because the dark feminine is like so deep in the body and so expressed and is like all of these things that the good girl isn't. And from when we're very little, it's like, be a good girl, like be modest, be polite, be all of these things, like cater to other people. And if you're out there being your fully expressed, wild, delicious, powerful self who's in her magnetism, in her wealth, in her purpose, in her power, is like taking up space in the world, isn't afraid to get like down and dirty on the dance floor, taking up space, like that is going to impact people because like the deepest desire of the soul is to be fully fucking incarnated into the body and fully expressed in your unique, authentic expression, the expression of your soul and the expression of the archetypes, the soul streams that you carry. So like some of us are carrying like the whole archetype through our soul to evolve that archetype for like the greater pattern of consciousness that is the whore, for example. So you might be a woman who like your path is really with that archetype. There's so many beautiful, delicious feminine archetypes. And as you're on the path of expressing and evolving these patterns of consciousness, you're going to be journeying into like the shadow and the light and all of the different pieces, bringing it more and more and more out into expression. And that's going to touch up against anyone who has not integrated that part of themselves. It's going to hit up against, oh, whoa, she's just like too emotional, she's too sexual, she's too outspoken, because they so deeply want to claim that within themselves. So the process of you evolving that archetype through your being is a process of becoming unapologetic in the full incarnation of your soul in the world.
Yes. Yeah, I've had my fair share of projections over the years, like just holding that energy and realizing, yeah, like I wrote a book called Sex Priestess and really holding that archetype for the past decade plus. And I don't think it's fully it has landed how much it's impacted me, like holding that much energy and projection and needing protection. Yeah. Because it's a lot. Like, yeah. And I've had, same as you, like so many people really, really like triggered by me and then coming to me like years later being like, wow, like I just couldn't even, like I would follow you, then unfollow you. Like it was just so intense. And then they were like, actually now, like 5 years later, I'm ready to actually, like, I was just so afraid because you were representing this part of me that I wanted to access, but like it felt so far away. And so like, obviously like there's a responsibility when you hold these energies, like these darker energies, when you move through it, it's like having compassion that like others aren't fully, like you are going to trigger. And it is very like difficult to move from, completely shut down dark feminine to like fully express. So there's compassion, but also I'm not going to cater to your like smallness. I'm just going to be me. And often like I feel the maturation of that dark feminine is the too much is actually just my presence. Like I don't even have to really do anything. Like I just walk into a space and or look at a man and he's triggered by me. Like your energy just holds it. It's not like an outward movement. It's actually just how you move through the world and the decisions you make and your actions you take and how you live your life, how you hold yourself, how you present, how you talk, what you're, where you're putting your attention, your energy. So, like it just comes with the territory, but like we need more women and humans that are living their full unapologetic and sovereignty. And dark feminine is the wisdom keeper of that. Like she's going to help you fully unleash like who the fuck you really are and what you're here to be. Like slay through all the delusion, all these masks and things that you've been told by your governments and your teachers and your parents and all the people in your life that like you're meant to be. Strip all that shit away and like get to the truth. Like, who the fuck am I? Like, what do I want? Like, why am I living my life for other people? Like, who is that serving? It's not serving anyone. Like, you're going to get to the end of your life, like, wow, I just lived my entire life to please my mother. Great. You know, like, no, stop now. Stop. And it's like, you know, like, yeah, and like when you walk that path, it actually, yeah, people are going to resist, especially your family. You know, I've had this. It was painful, but like there's an adjustment period, and then they eventually get on their path because you're that like permission slip. So people are going to resist because it's like, oh, she's changing, and that means I have to change, and they're going to try and hold you back, and you just got to keep like so like tapped in and really had that strength of the warrior goddess, which is the Durga energy, you know, like to not listen to that, like there's like pulls back into what's familiar, you know.
Yeah. The amount of women who say to me, like, and I know this because I've walked it myself, but like, you know, I want to show up more like that, but I'm worried about like what my second cousin twice removed who watches my stories thinks.
Yeah.
Like these random people out there who watch your stories or are watching you, like you're outsourcing your power into some random thing that you claim it's about that, but really actually it's a deeper piece of like how devoted are you to walking the truth of your soul and your path. Like I've hit the point now where I just ran this whole container rad and like my grandparents, my aunties and uncles, like my whole family were watching me post like these all of my things inviting women into whore and talking about the whore, and it's just hit a point where I'm like, okay. Like maybe like, you know, like 7 years ago, I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't want my grand to see. Like she watches it. Like I don't know what's moving for her, but I'm just so fucking anchored. Like I can't no longer available to like outsource any of that power when there are like there's a fucking transmission to be given and there are like women to be activated into the depth of their wild, unbridled erotic power. Like that comes before any of the other like little victim mind self that is trying to keep you small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So dark femme is your, you know, journey. If that's something you're resonating with, you want to slay away all that stuff. So we're at 20% on this battery. So good. Speaking in the corner. So should we kind of like wrap it up?
Yeah.
How can the women here go deeper with you and share with us what you've got going on?
So the most juicy, delicious way to journey deeper with me in this work is Incarnate, which is my 7-day retreat here in Bali. And the reason it's the juiciest is because it is a whole week in person with women journeying into the depth of the dark feminine, deep descent into the body, deep descent into these really powerful archetypal forces, and a deep liberation of your voice, your song, your expression. The oracle is one of the deepest archetypes that we'll be moving with, like really birthing and bringing through oracular transmission through your system in a way that's so clear, like really clearing the distortion and the illusion and opening up your voice and your channel to birth fucking profound artistry. So a lot of my work is around art because art is the vehicle of the feminine. It's the deep feminine language. So when you birth artistic expressions, you're really accessing the deep feminine. You're bypassing the mind and the logic and these pieces, and you're going into the illogical, wild, delicious, erotic realm of the feminine. So it's 7 days and 7 nights of deep ritual and ceremony and temple and deeply embodied photo shoots and yeah, sisterhood and a lot of like going into these psychedelic states. A lot of my work is really about like actually when we go into the dark feminine, the part of the reason people are so afraid of it is because it's the unknown, it's the psychedelic, it's the experience of having psychedelic visions while you're not on medicine, while you're completely sober, because you are accessing her realm. You're going into the womb. So yeah, this is a big descent journey. And then like how do you channel all of that through into your leadership, into your legacy, into your artistry? How do you become so fucking unshakable in who you are as a woman and the purpose and mission that you're here to serve in the world, whether that is being the steward of your family or if you're here with like a really big mission to serve on the earth and serve other women. This is a journey of just anchoring in and bringing through your leadership in a way that is no longer performative and is like true fucking oracular wisdom and power.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I highly recommend. So if you are watching this and you're interested in this retreat, go to India's page, and when you apply, mention that you saw this here through my channel, and yeah, we'll hook you up.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be fucking amazing. And yeah, India's like really embodied in these realms. Like really embodied in the dark femme realms and like the artistry. Yeah, inspired me in those so much.
Thank you.
We've done so many shoots as well. You've probably seen some of my shoots.
And for the beautiful humans who are watching on my page, where can work with you? What do you?
Yeah, so my main offering right now is my 6-month embodied feminine leadership training. So this is starting in May. It's going to be online, so live and pre-recorded transmissions. And it's really going to be 6 months of journeying into basically the culmination of like what I've been working with for the past 14 years. So feminine tantric arts, womb work, feminine archetypes, and sacred sexuality. And then business. So you're going to go on your own journey, your own descent into your own feminine embodiment. And then from that space, we're going to like really harness that and channel that into what you want to create in the world, you know, and how you want to show up as a leader. And you're going to come out, yeah, with actual skills and learn how to actually facilitate transformational experiences for women. So whether that's coaching or running like group programs or group retreats. So it's really for women who are like on a specific, they know that their mission is to awaken the divine feminine and work with healing sacred sexuality and returning this planet to the true essence of sacred sexuality and what it's actually meant to be used for, which is creation and reaching higher states of consciousness and elevating us into our ultimate potential as a human. So if that's part of your mission, I want women who are really passionate about this. And yeah, you can apply for that. It's on my page. And, yeah.
Both of our journeys are this is in May as well, right?
Yeah, it starts in May.
Yeah. And the retreat is in Bali in May from the 5th to the 12th. So yeah, send me a message or go to the link in my bio to explore the incarnate journey and just message me and let me know that you came to me through this live or through Nadine.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for being here. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.